Okay, so what we've got here is students at an activity center choose one of four activity. The bar chart shows some of their choices. So let's quickly do some leveling here. Okay, so we've got a bar chart. So that falls into the area of statistics. Okay, and it's specifically presenting statistics. Now, we've got frequency. So that's an important word. Do you know what frequency means? How often it happens? Okay, let's quickly look for a real definition, like the actual definition. Frequency definition. Um, Mathematics. Let's look for an actual. You know what? We're just gonna go to Wikipedia because I dig me some Wikipedia. Okay, so in statistics, the frequency or absolute frequency of an event is the number of times an observation has occurred or been recorded in an experimental study. These frequencies are often depicted graphically or in a tabular form. So, how often in a set? Okay, so it is frequency is always going to be clothed, or it's going to be in a closed set. So we don't have like an open-ended frequency. Okay. So even if we're looking at the amount of people who in the world who do this thing, there are a finite number of people. Okay. So students at an activity center choose one of four activities. The bar chart shows some of their choices. Okay. Five students are choose hiking. Okay. So what we're doing here, this is a bar chart. So let's quickly look at a bar chart. This is, again, we're doing some basic understanding stuff. And I'm going to make our basics, like our grammar. Oh, wait. I'm going to make our grammar pink. Is that okay? So a bar chart, we'll leave it as pink. I'm going to look that up again because why not? Um, we actually need this whole thing. So I'm going to screenshot it. Okay. So a bar chart or bar graph is a chart or graph that represents categorical data. Now that's very, very important that we note that it is categorical data. Now, what is categorical data? Yeah. So for instance, if I'm looking at um if I'm looking at quantities like 30 moles, 40 moles, 50 moles, is that categorical data? Mm. The thing is, let's say I'm looking at water, right? And I'm looking at, okay, there were so many that were 30 moles, so many that were 40 moles, so many that were 50 moles. That would, to a degree, be categorical because it falls within that category. But what has to happen for that is that I have to clearly separate those things so that they can be separate categories. Okay. Whereas if I were to measure the months and the temperature, the months flow into each other. It kind of flows into each other. So I wouldn't use a bar graph necessarily. I could, but more appropriate would be a line graph. And if I'm using a line graph, I'd use a column graph with it, but we'll talk about that in days to come. So here we're looking at categorical data with rectangular bars with heights or lengths proportional to the values that they represent. The bars can be plotted vertically or horizontally. A vertical bar chart is sometimes called a column chart. Okay. Just note that there are always spaces in between. Yeah, but you can also call it a bar chart. No, well, both are bar charts, but you can also call, so it might be called the column chart if it's vertical. Okay. Um, so it shows comparisons among discrete categories, and we can explore discrete categories at a later stage. One axis of the chart shows the specific categories being compared, and the other axis represents a measured value. Okay, so here the things that are, this is the category, and here we've got the measurement. Okay. Some bar graphs present bars of more. I took them, thank you. Um, some bar graphs present bars clustered in groups of more than one, showing the values of more than one measured variable. Do you want to quickly jump into discrete categories so that we've got that definition? Um, okay, so a discrete variable is if there's is basically if it jumps from one number to the next. Okay, so it's a counting number. Okay. Um, whereas, so a discrete can be counted, whereas a continuous is measured. Does that make sense? Okay. So, does that give you actually a lot more clarity as to when to use a bar graph? And all we did was define the different terms. That's all we've done so far. And so the definitions count as your grammar because they're your basic building blocks of maths. They're the language of maths. They're your lexis, your syntax. Now, write down. So let's complete it quickly. So we need 5 students. Now, each one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be there. And we have 2 bars wide. Oop. Oh my gosh. A little wobble. Okay. Write down the most popular activity. So this is pretty simple. We look for the one that's the highest. This one is a 7. This one is a 5. This one is a 4. And this one is a 6. So the most popular one then is going to be what? Climbing. Okay. So the reason I only used pink here was because absolutely everything here was a grammar question. There was no logic involved. It didn't require any logical leaps. Okay. So you'll notice the first couple of times we go through these, it's going to be a little bit long-winded, but then it's going to become a lot quicker and shorter to do the things because we've got the grammar in place.